Good evening and welcome to the St. Petersburg by Night podcasting network. Tonight, we present to you our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle, Rage Across Tampa.
Welcome to another St. Pete by Night revamped production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, howling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing dire of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the warring forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take a final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Don't you never hide.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network. St. Petersburg by Night is an online World of Darkness community originated in St. Petersburg, Florida, but now extending to the world at large. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and I will be your storyteller tonight. And it's Tuesday night. You know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa Bay, Florida, where the Sept of the Evening Star attempts to combat the forces of the worm, both physical and spiritual. But before we get to all that, I want to talk about the giveaway we've had going on all month long, because we are just a little bit over a week and a half until that giveaway comes to an end and we'll announce our winners. So if you haven't signed up for it yet, you should get involved by following that link in the chat or in the description down below, because you're really going to want to check out this giveaway. And speaking of the giveaway, let's go ahead and take a look at our ad now. You read that right. It is our first ever giveaway, and what better time to have a giveaway than the spooky season. My name is Kent, and I'm the founder of St. Pete by Night and the storyteller of both Rage Across Tampa and Hellhounds, and it's time for our Halloween giveaway. So let's get into the details about this giveaway, because it is a big one and you're going to want to participate. First, let's take a look at the prizes. Our grand prize winner is in for a Werewolf starter pack, and that comes with a Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition core rulebook, a character journal, a full dice set necessary to play the game, and a handmade crocheted dice bag courtesy of our friends over at Chromatic Creations. And if you aren't selected for the grand prize, don't worry, because you are in for a great runner-up prize. 3 of our runner-ups will receive a full dice set necessary to play any World of Darkness game and a handmade crocheted dice bag courtesy of Chromatic Creations. So those bags you see on the screen, one of them could be yours if you're a runner-up in this contest. So you're probably asking yourself, how do I enter? Well, there's many ways you can enter into this contest, including visiting St. Pete by Night on YouTube, submitting a video about your favorite Tampaverse character, joining our Discord on the link down below, following St. Pete by Night on Instagram, commenting on the Instagram photos, and following St. Pete by Night on TikTok. But wait, there's more. You could also submit a TikTok about your favorite Tampaverse character. Follow St. Pete by Night on Blue Sky. Like, repost, or reply to our Blue Sky posts. Share a post using one of the hashtags St. Pete by Night, Rage Across Tampa, Tampaverse, or SPbN Halloween. Plus, there are bonus entries if you're a Twitch subscriber, so subscribe to Twitch. But of course, it wouldn't be a giveaway without the important legal jargon, so let's get to the important stuff. The giveaway runs October 7th through November 1st, 2025. You must be 18 or older and a US resident to enter. Winners are chosen at random through Gleam and announced on YouTube and our social media. The contest is free to enter, no purchase necessary, and it's not sponsored or endorsed by YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or Blue Sky. See full terms and rules with the link in the description. That's right. So you're going to want to go sign up for that giveaway, because as the video said, it ends November 1st, and that's only a little bit over 10 days away. So really get those entries in. You can enter more than once in that contest to get in the running for those amazing prizes. But let's get to the reason we're all here by introducing the amazing players that make Rage Across Tampa happen. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champagne, the Muffin Man. But you can, just call me Champ if you want. And I will be playing Aspen Weiss, Philodox of the Silver Fangs.
Hi everybody, I'm Noree and I'll be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hey everyone, my name's Preston. I play Jason Dreams-In-Decay Thorne, Theurge of the Bonar.
So, players, let's get caught up on all of the craziness that happened last week so that everybody who is just tuning in can catch up to where we are. First, we started with a very heartfelt, deep conversation between Jace and Eliza that led to him touching a tree for the first time. And no, that is not a euphemism. It is literally touching a tree, because in the Caern of the Sept of the Evening Star, even the trees have power, untold power. And this power comes in the forms of memories from the ancestors of the Caern, from those who have passed long beyond, telling stories or things that the individual touching the tree needs to hear. And Jace got a particularly deep message that would come into play later on, as it was a message about loss and despair, seemingly from the last Croatan on their deathbed. But will he take the message of that story, or will he fall into a similar trap? Because shortly after, the pack assembled at the Caern and were talking about current affairs when the Moon Bridge opened, and Stakes Her Claim and Sean Cross of the Hell Sept came stumbling through the Moon Bridge, horrifically injured. As it seems, the attack on the mine did not go well, and that they had been ambushed by Black Spiral Dancers, which led to Stakes losing an eye, Sean losing an arm permanently, and no iron for the Sept from Michigan. But the ripples and after effects of that attack are still yet to truly be felt. Jace also, his former pack having assisted in the attack, came to learn that all of them, or at least so he believes, were lost in that attack, as there were very few to no survivors left behind after the ambush from the Black Spiral Dancers. Afterwards, Jace retreated to his bar, preparing to pack a go bag and run up to Michigan to see if there were any survivors, but was stopped by Malicious Jester, who managed to, at least for the time being, talk him down and assure him that any actions he took right now could be very, very detrimental. However, she did offer to go with him if he decided to go. So we'll see what happens after tonight's story. Speaking of tonight's story, let's get right into it. Our first scene begins at the apartment of Aspen and Artie. Aspen, you have been spending quite some long days and nights researching the Piney Point facility and the fertilizer company that it fronts as. The fertilizer, of course, being shipped out with the infected seeds in it that eventually grow to cause infections in humans. Now, what you found so far is that that's not all they do. They do send out legitimate fertilizer to some big box chains, but mostly to mom and pop shops. So, as you and Artie are hard at work, you're sitting on the couch with your laptop and a notepad. Artie is over at his desk with the bank of monitors, opening and closing windows. There's a knock at the door.
I will hesitantly and begrudgingly get up from my hyper focus and go to the door and open it.
As you open the door, Jace is standing in the doorway. Now, Jace, why did you come to see Aspen tonight?
Couple things. First and foremost, he left at a pretty crucial point during the last meeting. And with the conversation that he had with Jester, an apology, in a sense, needs to be made. Respect given to the leader of the Sept. And he needs a favor.
So, as you open the door, seeing Jace standing at the top of the stairs right in front of your doorway, the scene is yours.
Jace, come in. I was just working on some stuff, and she'll like walk in very quickly and close her laptop, move some stuff off of the coffee table.
We'll walk in. I'm glad you guys are decent.
So, what did you need?
I need to first say I'm my actions in my response to hearing about what happened at the mine. I could have handled it better. I'm sorry that I left the way that I did.
I don't. Thank you. I appreciate the apology. I don't think it's completely necessary considering the situation.
I just feel like there's a better way I could have handled that. And when I left, I found out additional information kind of by them no one answered their phones. And in a way, I compromised the area because I threw my phone on that road. Just wanting to come clean about all of it. Look over towards Artie. I'm going to need a new phone. If you be able to help me out with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can put something together pretty quickly. This sounds like private conversation, so I'll just go in the bedroom and work on that. Besides, just so you know, the kinky shit only happens when you're living here. He gets up and grabs a laptop and a little box from one of his drawers and goes heading into the bedroom, closing the door behind him.
I'm happy I could do that for you guys.
She'll take a long drink out of her mug, just ignoring that whole interaction.
I didn't get any answers, and he'll take a seat on the couch. When I called 3 people, I called my former pack leader, and I called the right master there, and I also called Olivia, my best friend, and no one answered. With that information, I should have let you guys know that there was nothing, but I was not in the right state of mind. And when I drove off, I went to the bar, and I was planning on actually leaving. And I was going to utilize the moon bridge to try and get back up there. And I was going to do this without asking at all. Luckily, in the midst of me packing, Jester did stop by. She gave me the additional news and helped me realize that my plan wasn't really a plan because I had nowhere really to start. But I wanted to come clean about all of it. I feel like hiding or trying to keep a secret that I did plan on doing that, utilizing something that I didn't really have access to and not letting you know is something that I just wanted you to be aware of.
I appreciate you being honest. More than, I guess, just not saying anything to anyone. I understand that feeling, wanting to do what you need to do without anyone stopping you. I get it. But I also, to that point, want you to know that we're here to talk and to work through things. We've all been through some stuff, and it's awful. And we wouldn't want you to do all of that alone.
I had a nice chat not too long ago with Eliza, and our Caern has something that I'm trying to understand. Its overall reach and understanding of the Gru there is baffling. I was given a vision of a Croatan there basically throwing away the sacrifice of their patron and how it affected them altogether. With the current circumstances going on, I don't know how it got to knowing that I needed to see that, but I'm trying to abide by the lesson of not throwing away a sacrifice. And I don't understand Eliza. I adore Eliza altogether, but I don't know how she does the things that she does and how she's able to just give what she needs to, but not push too much. It's an art. But I was scared. And I don't want to throw away what they were trying to do. And with that being said, that iron that was supposed to be brought over, if I'm understanding correctly, we didn't get any, right?
No.
So that leaves one last resort.
That's correct.
Aspen, are you aware of the law of thermodynamics?
Acutely, yes.
So the overall transfer of energy and how it's never exactly 50-50. There's always something lost.
Correct.
Similar to how business works, when you are trying to go through, you have your supplier and you get to someone who delivers it to the person who wants it. You're not getting your highest output. Our current standing is the same way.
What are you referring to?
I'm referring to the deal that we have. Cut out the middleman. Get rid of him. We find out where his supply is. Then it's closer to a 50-50.
Aspen stops, pauses, looks down at the coffee table for a moment, because that deal, cutting out the middleman of Bateman, sounds wonderful, but also there's a lot more to it than that. She looks back up at Jace. I get it. That would be ideal. But it also comes with being on decent grounds right now with them, and cutting out the middleman snubs them, and we are already spread so thin we can't have another dispute on our hands. It'll only spread us thinner, and that's going to cause way more issues than what we think it's helping.
Is it though? You have someone who is giving up something in order to take on a evil that we're both facing, but they're only doing that because you hit them so hard previously that they can't take care of this themselves. They're backpedaling.
It's complicated, and I know there's a lot to it, and I'm not trying to patronize you, but you weren't here for a lot of what happened on that front. But again, yes, they may be on their back foot, but in a lot of ways, so are we, with Piney Point, with changing breeds coming in, with the changelings, with all of these other things spread throughout that we're trying to figure out. We're also on our back foot, and they would just be adding to that. And we can't fight on all fronts. We just can't, we don't have the numbers.
In order to move this fight forward and to make this faster, though, getting his iron would take care of that problem. Him distributing it what he has on hand is slowing us down.
Okay, let's think about it for a second. Let's think about if we got the iron, we cut him out, however we decide to do that, because right now that seems like a large feat in itself. If we get his iron and he's snubbed, or they're snubbed and they're angry, how long do you think it's going to take for us to figure out how to make a concoction to get rid of all of the plants? How long do you think that's going to take? Because it's not going to take a day. And in that time, I'm sure, with how much we've been dealing with Piney Point, that they're going to become awares in some way and push back against that, because we would be destroying everything they've been working for. So we're going to get hit even harder by them. Right now, they're sitting in a space of them having the upper hand. But once they feel like they're getting encroached upon, then they're going to send even harder forces in our direction, right? So we will be making a concoction, we'll be hit harder by Piney Point and whatever they have going on. And then you add that on top of a very, very angry leech coming at us from the other side. And not to mention, while all of that is happening, who knows if another changing breed comes into our cairn that we have to deal with, that maybe you, for example, you and Jester were gone for days dealing with that. So that leaves even less of us here to deal with the leeches, Piney Point, and making a concoction. I understand, trust me, anyone, out of anyone, cutting him out and getting rid of him for good, or hurting him in some way, that is the most appealing thing to me. But I have to think about the sept and the pack And I feel like we would be losing if we did that to, yeah, maybe a win in the moment, but a loss in the end.
All right. And what's the plan to replenish the iron that was lost?
We work on finding an enticing deal. We act as if we're giving more, so we get more without giving up really anything. I mean, of course, we'll have to sacrifice something. That's how trade works. But that's what we've been working on, right? Is
Right.
making an enticing deal that doesn't completely screw us in the end. And I think cutting out the middleman would definitely screw us in the end.
All right. Miss Weiss, lawyer, let me know if this is a loophole. Let's say we find out where his supplier's at. We keep him in there, but we just take here and there a few things. We're not supposed to attack him directly, right? We can't do all that. We can't be going into different territories of theirs and messing with them.
Correct.
Are we able to find out where he keeps the iron and then take it from there? Keep the deal. We go in, nonchalant, you use your strike team. You got Jester and Charles. You send them in. They do what they do. They get out. We got additional iron, and then you keep the deals coming in through Bateman.
I think that's risky. I think not. But again, we can say Miss Weiss lawyer all we want. This isn't legally binding. If he's angry and wants to pull back on the deal, all he has to do is pull back on the deal. We have no contract. He has no way of staying in our pocket or us in theirs. I think there's something to that, though. I think getting information, and if we find any way to turn the tide in our favor to make it so we don't need him, is legitimate. I think there's something to that. It's just a fine line we need to walk, because if he becomes aware, then I don't know what he would do. He's a volatile man, but also smart man. When he's volatile, he does it in such a way that's like chess. So navigating that is going to be a feat of its own.
So you're not saying no, though.
I'm not. I'm saying I'm open to suggestions on how we do this in a way that doesn't completely fuck us later.
Okay. Are you terribly busy at the moment?
I'm always busy.
Okay, that's fair. Do you have a spare hour, maybe hour and a half?
I could make that happen.
Your overall allure and how you're able to bring spirits to you might be beneficial. How we were able to get spirits to help, I don't know if it's the correct word with Piney Point, but I feel like the area in which he resides is a different beast altogether. We ask some of the spirits there. They might be able to gather some additional info for us. Also, if I can get close enough to wherever he resides or does business out of, I don't know, I can pick up on different conversations that are happening.
I'm open to the spirits. I think you're playing with fire, trying to get close enough to get information on your own. At this point, I'm sure he knows plenty enough about you and has plenty around that place, around his place, to make sure that all eyes are out. And if we're seen, any of us, it's going to be problematic.
So let's start with spirits, see what I can pick up from a distance, and go from there.
Like I said, I'm open to it, but we're not going to break any of the treaty we have right now.
No, just bending stuff. That's it.
We don't cross territories we're not supposed to. And when we talk to spirits, they go to get information, and that is all.
Agreed. I'm fine with that.
All right, you got an hour.
Hour and a half. We'll see how it goes. Cool. You'll get up from the couch. Artie, have fun in there. Keep your pants off. We're leaving for a bit.
Oh, you should probably say sorry to him too, because like if you would have gone through the gate without his permission, that's kind of rude. So say sorry.
Open the door, not even acknowledging anything. Hey, sorry, I was gonna use your moon bridge without asking about it.
You would have had a hard time. Got to know the right to open it. But thank you.
Yeah, I would have found you or something. But yes, I am sorry, and I'll talk to you about the phone later.
Can't say I don't get it. I understand that impulse, and if anything were to happen to Aspen or Jester or any of you, and I was some distance away, I can't say I wouldn't have made the same choice. So I'm glad you're here and not running off to die somewhere, because if it's as bad enough to take out 3 septs, you'd have had a hard time, probably. But I get it, and thank you. No apology necessary in this case, but I appreciate it.
You want the door open or closed?
Well, if you're leaving, leave it open. I like the draft that comes through on my nethers.
Yeah.
Where are you guys going?
Just out.
Okay.
We're going to talk to spirits and see what we can do.
Okay, have fun with that. We know how the last time turned out, so.
Hey. Yeah, fuck you, man. You'll close the door and walk out.
Okay. So as you exit the apartment, heading out into the city, where are you planning on going?
The overall location of where Jace's bar is pretty close to where Tampa City sits. And he's had some pretty good rapport with some of the spirits there. So he might take her just outside of the warehouse area.
Okay. Heading out to the bar, or at least in that vicinity, you are near the port. You are actually just across the bay, or at least a small portion of the bay, from the sectioned off area, the part of the treaty that blocks off your access to that area, especially at night. So as you arrive in the warehouse district, it is, what time of night are you going, would you say?
Sunset-ish.
Okay. So you can see that there's a lot of people finishing up work, getting ready to leave, close down their warehouses for the night. However, there are some warehouses that are 24 hours and still see a flurry of activity, whether it's shipping or receiving or packing up shipments ready to send out. But you find a area near the bar that is quiet. The owners of that warehouse have gone home for the evening, and you have the space to yourself without any interference.
You'll kind of walk out towards one of the buildings. Aspen, one of the great things about this spot is this is one of the first places that Rat, actually not even first, it's one of the first, it is the first place Rat came to me when I got to the city. And that's one of the reasons I bought one of the warehouses here. And he'll walk out towards the edge of the piers looking out downtown. Just over there, if I'm understanding this right, is where we're not allowed to go.
That's correct.
So shouldn't be too hard to ask nicely of some spirits to not have to travel so far and pick up what they can.
Well, I think it's a perfect opportunity for you to talk to your patron. Who better to find out information in a city than you rats, right? But I shouldn't tell you how to do your job, of course.
No, that would be rude and totally unfair and not very nice. But correct.
I agree.
He'll get down on his knees and look for some of the different things in the area. And look for different like shiny bits and baubles and kind of like push them into a pile.
Okay, go ahead and
And
give me a wits and investigation.
Rage 2, or am I back down to 1?
You're down to 1 at this point. Oh, okay. No, you know what? We'll say you're staying at a 2 because I think even though being talked down by Jester helped, you are still feeling a lot of feelings about what happened up there.
Okay. 4.
4 successes. Okay, so gathering together a bunch of shiny baubles, maybe even some scraps of food, you're able to put together a nice little pile, a collection, if you will, of things that you know will appeal to Rat.
He should respond nicely to this. If you could put out a call, just so he knows that we're both here to talk to him.
Sure. I will kind of rearrange his little pile just because it's organization while she sits, and she will call out to Rat. And she'll just, Rat, I know you're out here somewhere. I mean, this is kind of your area of expertise, and your follower has brought you treats, so at least you'll get a meal.
Give me a charisma and persuasion.
What rage am I at?
I would say you're probably at a 1. You feel at least content that the people who made it back did make it back, albeit injured, but they did, especially Stakes, made it back and is recovering nicely due to the healing effects of Eliza and Delphine and some of the others that have been tending to them.
Okay, and can I add my favor?
Yes.
That is 5.
Hey. So as you call out to Rat, making mention of the pile of goodies that Jace has assembled, what surprises you is the sounds that come in response. Where you're used to the scurrying of Rat, whether it's on the rooftops or on the pavement, instead you hear the little jingle of a bike bell. And as your eyes are drawn to it, you see that there is actually a scooter at the end of the lane, or at the end of the alleyway, with a young man, probably 16, 17 years old, wearing really baggy pants and a kind of loose fitting shirt that drapes down almost to his mid knees. He's got a stocking cap on and a little bit of a growth of stubble around his chin that isn't quite becoming a beard yet. He looks over in your direction and cocks his head to the side. What are y'all doing?
Recycling.
Well, if you're not going to eat that.
It's for a friend.
see. Well, I have a friend that would also really like that. Let's just say it's a mutual acquaintance of sorts. But he's a little busy right now, tending to some other matters of family business. So he sent me. Is there a message you want passed on?
Sorry, I'm a little taken back. What was your name?
You can call me Skeeter.
Skeeter on a scooter. I like it. What is your relation?
Cousin, I suppose. What's your relation?
Looks over to Jace.
Close cousin removed twice on my mother's side.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, I can assure you that your secret is safe with me. If there's something that you need him to know.
Look over to Aspen.
I will look to Jace and I'll kind of turn my back to Skeeter. Can you?
I can give it a shot. I like to try and sense the true form.
Right. Go ahead and make the roll for sense the true form.
I don't remember the dice pool for that.
Double check just to see.
Wits and wisdom.
There you go.
Fix.
As you take a deep whiff in through your nose, as if you're preparing to respond or trying to mask the fact that you're taking in the odor, the stench hits you almost like a slap to the face. It is the stench of garbage, alleyways, very familiar surroundings for you. But also a strangely unique odor, but also familiar, as if it's close to, but not quite, the odor that a bone gnar would give off. There's also just a strange, unique, unusual extra scent in it as well.
He'll lean to Aspen. He definitely smells of our friend and something like us, but not quite.
Goody. Okay.
Yeah. Skeeter, right?
Dreams-In-Decay, right?
Yes. If you'd like the bits and baubles and the bits of food, they're all yours.
Great. Is that it?
I wish it was just a nice little, hey, here you go.
Yeah, this is a long way to come just for scraps and baubles and whatnot.
Hey, there's some cool stuff, but
Oh,
no,
I'm
I
sure.
get it.
The broken yo-yo is a nice touch.
Yeah, it just needs a new string. It'll be good to go. Either just a piece of. Anyways, he'll look out towards the city. I need help with gathering information on what's going on there. Particularly, there's a building that has some a very powerful individual in there, and I just need as much information as I can get on that guy.
Okay.
Well, let's start a little different, if you don't mind, Jace. Are you aware of what lives in that building?
Well, you're gonna have to be more specific. There's a lot of buildings, but if you're talking about the vampires, yes.
Okay, good. That was easy enough. We are coming with a question on the potential of looking into them and if that would be a wise idea.
I mean, you should always keep an eye on the bloodsuckers. But as far as I understand, that's a big no-no for all of you.
For us, yes.
Lucky for you, me and my friends aren't one of you. But we also don't owe you anything. I mean, neither does he, but he seems to take a shining to all of you.
As he should.
Should
But
he?
you're right. You know my name, you know he should. Okay, all right. But I'm aware of how these things are supposed to work. Is there something that you are in need of?
There's a lot of things we're in need of. You know us. We aren't exactly rolling in it. Well, we are, but I'm not kind of it that you want to roll in regularly. And we just got to town not too long ago, and we're just settling in, finding our way around. In fact, I've been meaning to see more of the city, so this is kind of incentivizing that. However, there's a lot of risk with what you're asking us to do. And we don't like to take unnecessary risks, no matter how appealing the prize might be. So I guess I'd have to say, what can you offer?
Well, Jace here has a wonderful bar just down the way. I'm sure he wouldn't mind giving some food when necessary, a place to relax and get out of the rain when necessary.
Absolutely. Yeah. Food, drink, it's on the house. And if you need a place to crash, set that up. Hold on, actually, how many of there are you that came in?
We don't like to go alone anywhere.
Well, right. Rats together. Safer that way.
But also, I'm not sure I should tell you exactly how many there are of us. Better to keep you on your toes and always wondering.
Ballpark me.
Enough.
Okay. Then I have enough space for you all.
Okay. That's pretty appealing, I suppose. But if you are looking to go into places that don't belong to you, that makes me think that you have intentions of those places one day belonging to you. All right?
Coveting isn't below us.
Definitely not us. Here's what I'm thinking. Along with your generous hosting, there may come a time where me and my friends are looking to call someplace our own. Are you amenable to us taking some of that precious pie you're looking to get a big slice of for growth and development. Neighborhood. We could be neighbors.
You look to Aspen.
She'll stare. Well, since it seems you know quite a bit, where are you looking to go?
Well, just like good old Dreams here, we love the city. Where the action happens and where the most exciting things take place. And unlike wolves, we don't do well in the woods. Better places to hide and scurry and scramble when you're in the urban jungle. So, I'm sure there's a place in the city proper that we can call our own. Not too nice, but plentiful.
I could make that happen as long as you're not picky.
I'm sure we can discuss the particulars when the time comes.
I would love to discuss more with you on, mutual findings and such.
Being said, in the interest of disclosure, how are your guests?
We have a lot of guests. You'd have to be more specific.
I know that we aren't the only ones that came calling recently.
You
One
would
of
be
them you
absolutely
went
correct.
a far distance to get.
That was a happy accident.
That one, in particular, seems problematic. I'd be careful how much you say and do around that one. They reek. Worse than me.
I appreciate the information.
But I also heard you went sniffing around the swamp as well. You got a nice arrangement with that one, or is that something to be worried about?
As long as you don't make an appearance near their home, you should be fine. But we hope to add to the, guess you could say, friendliness between the two parties.
Well, don't worry about us. We're not going around there. Like I said about jungles and woods. That's not our comfort zone.
Not a neighbor you want to hang out with.
No. But it's nice to know who's present in the area. My question is, how do we know that when all is said and done, it isn't just replacing one dictator for another? Y'all got
Cool.
history of taking things that don't belong to you.
She's different, okay? She's not like the others.
She stinks like the others.
She does have the
Money.
smell, and she talks just like him, but her bark is much different. Okay? She's building something different, and she has intentions in order to make that happen.
Roll me a charisma and persuasion, or manipulation and subterfuge.
Use persuasion.
Yeah.
Can I burn a will?
Yeah.
4.
He lets his eyebrows raise to the point that they almost go underneath the beanie cap he's wearing. You seem pretty convinced.
I've seen some things.
Okay. Since we don't have any kind of arrangement blocking us from looking, we'll go take a peek. See what we can find out. I will tell you, though, that place, that particular place, is protected to high hell. And I don't just mean in the guards with guns type way. There's a little something extra. Something that stinks of blood, but is a lot more obtrusive. They got protections against our kind and against spirits. So if you're looking to get inside, can't guarantee that, but I can at least stick around, see who comes and goes, what we hear.
And since we're going with full disclosure, how do we know that after we ask you this favor, because we are the ones asking, of course, so that you don't come with your counter offer after making this deal and ask for something impossible?
You don't. That's the fun of it. You need something. Something we can provide. At the moment, we don't need it. But only at the moment.
Then I guess we're at a point of mutual trust.
I wouldn't call it that, sweetheart. But we'll call it we have an understanding.
Sure.
Got like a to-go bag for all that. Kind of hard to take on the scooter, and my pockets are already full of other things I found around here. Wallets. That kind of thing.
Pat himself down real quick, make sure he still has his wallet.
You do.
And he'll kick. He'll look around for a trash bag or something floating around.
Yeah, easy enough.
Yep. He scoops it all in, ties it off.
You hear the scooter kind of whir as it comes down the alleyway, stopping close to you. Getting a better look at his face, you can see that he has very angular features. He's very thin and lithe, but his nose especially is almost pointy and overextended to a certain degree. Looking into his eyes, you can see that they're black and beady.
Yeah, you look just like your cousin.
We're a very direct relation. And as he smiles, you see that the two front teeth are a little bit larger. Great. He holds out his hand to take the bag.
Hand it to him.
And where can we get in touch with you?
Aspen, you got a pen?
Always. She pulls out a pen from her purse.
He'll take Skeeter's hand and write down the address at the split helm. I'm working on getting a new phone. So there's the address. Go to the back. Come at night. Myself or one of the other will let you in.
Can do that.
I also keep a very close eye on inventory. Me giving things out is different than things being stolen.
Let's not make accusations.
I'm not. I'm making a statement.
It's not stolen if you don't know it's gone.
Telling you that if things are gone, I will know.
We don't steal from family.
Correct. Okay. At that point, he kind of pats Skeeter's hand and pushes away and gives Aspen her pen back.
The family also doesn't pay. And he gets on the scooter and starts to push away down the alleyway.
You met kind of my family in a way. Really distant cousin.
Yep, just add it to the list.
Rat did say that his kids were coming. I was thinking weeks to months, not a week.
Well, you should always accelerate your timelines when it comes to Tampa.
That was accelerated. Overall, though, he'll look back towards the city. Are you okay with this?
I think having something is good for us. Just hope it doesn't come back and bite us in the ass.
Should be all right. And if we can just get one step closer to taking care of one of the big problems we have. You said the risks and rewards. I think the reward for this is pretty good.
I think so. At the very least, we have information, and when it inevitably comes to blows, which I'm hoping that won't happen for quite some time, we have some information in our back pocket.
I just don't want to sit idle. That's my biggest thing right now.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. And I haven't said it, but I'm sorry.
It's I'd like to say it's a feeling that I'm used to. Having people just kind of out of your life, but after becoming what we are, didn't think that the one that came and found me and taught me all the things I know could be taken out. It's just kind of hard to come to terms with that. The person and people that kind of like were the cement to what this is. Only thing I have left are the lessons and memories, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get over. Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't mean anything right now, but I can tell you that it does get easier.
You're right, that I wish that helped right now.
Yeah.
But I should probably get you home before Artie starts assuming things.
Probably for the best.
Like you're dead or something. I don't know where your mind was going, but like you died, so we should...
Just go.
Uh-huh.
As you head to the motorcycle that is parked not even a block away, both of you roll me wits and awareness.
Three.
Aspen, you hear the sounds of scurrying on top of the sheet roof, like the sheet metal roofs of the nearby warehouses. At least 2, maybe 3 different creatures, but they're small, so it's definitely little pads of feet. Jace, you also hear this, but you were able to catch out of the corner of your eye little beady eyes peering over from a rooftop, watching you go. The little pink nose wiggling as it sniffs the big whiskers off the sides before it ducks down behind the awning and runs off. Just like Jace spent some time in Tampa before making himself known, it wouldn't be unusual for his ratkin cousins to do the same. But the question is, how long have they been in town? And what else have they possibly learned during their time here? With that, we transition to our next scene. Jester, you're at the cairn and you've asked Eliza to meet with you about learning an important story from one of the trees. Now, this isn't your first foray into touching a tree. In fact, you've made some time every now and then to do so as you try to absorb more and more of the stories of a long gone tribe of Guru. Stories of a time that only exists in the silver record, as most of it comes before writing came into fad. And even the stories coming from these trees seem mysterious and unusual, just like this place that you stand in right now. Unlike anything else the Guru Nation has ever had to offer. As you arrive at the cairn, Eliza is stepping out of her RV and she gives you a warm smile. You can see that her eyes are a little bit tired as she has been spending a great deal of time tending to the wounded inside of the RV. But when you called to try and get together with her, when you reached out, she said they're looking good and she could probably afford time. So she closes the door behind her and quietly walks over, approaching with a hushed tone. They're sleeping, so let's try to keep it down.
I mean, we could take a walk further closer to the actual heart if we wanted.
Sure. What do you need me for, Jester? You become well versed at this.
Glance back at the RVs. Do I know where Xander is at this point?
You know that over the past week or so, he has become much more lucid and calm to the point that you can trust him to go out into the bawn itself. So he is likely out somewhere in the woods beyond, but he knows that if he meets a road, he's supposed to turn back.
Okay. Kind of wanted to test something out. Glance around again, glance in the trees. Look, after what happened at the mine, I'm kind of worried.
Worried about what?
If it's dancers and you said Bat was their patron.
True.
If the voice that Xander is hearing is Bat, he could be a bigger liability than we thought.
I agree. And it likely is Bat that is talking to him. The spirits work differently for the Kamazats. They have different connections, different relations. Some have grown to fear them and prefer to stay away. But Bat would have been called upon his turn. When he changed, Bat would have come directly there. And if what we're hearing from him is to be believed, he's hearing history, but not necessarily their history. A mixture of the two.
Right. I'll sigh and just stare at the trees for a while. It's not as prevalent, but I still remember Ryder's point of view of what happens. And the fact that the dancers attacked the Cairns from the Umber side. if he's connected to Bat, he could lead them here.
I understand your concern. One of the beauties of this place is it does obscure spiritual activity here. The sentinels not just guard us from the spiritual side, they muss up the signal of sorts. But the overall energy can still be felt, at least in the area. But if I had to guess, the spiral's interest lies elsewhere.
You think so?
There are bigger fish to fry than us, my dear. Don't forget, this place wasn't just forgotten about by the nation. It was not worth the effort. Like the snake eating its own tail, this place was already falling directly into the worm's hands, decaying. So it didn't need any extra attention. And yes, while we're here doing our best to recover it from that state, we are few. And they are many, and I am sure they are preparing that force for something big. Not something for us to ignore, but it'll be a while before that fight's at our doorstep, I have a feeling.
Okay. Well, either way, as much as he's becoming more lucid, I think there's only so far we can go with just talking to him. We need to figure out how to stop the screaming. So I was hoping to get your help on trying to focus, I guess, to learn about this white bat that you've talked about.
Of course. There are very few stories about the white bat, but there are stories here. Story unrecorded history. So, if you have that query in your heart, I'm sure the spirits here will have an answer for you.
Okay.
She walks up and presses her hand on your back, turning you and redirecting you slightly as you walk, heading towards the far edge of the cairn's clearing, towards another wall of trees that marks the perimeter. She takes you over towards a shorter tree amidst the tall trees all around, trees that have been undisturbed and growing for some time. But this tree is almost dwarfed in comparison to the others. But it's still old. It's almost like it lost the battle for light and therefore didn't evolve at the same pace as the others. She leads you to the foot of it. It's still probably a good football size width, but it only goes about 9 feet tall, whereas many of the others go 15, 20, 30 feet up. Cut off in its prime.
I thought you said that. So why was it cut off in its prime? It's not like connected to a particular spirit, right? You said they weren't.
Most of them are. But I've found that if you search for something specific, you're more likely to find it. And this story that you're about to observe will answer that very question.
Okay.
Taking a deep breath, you reach out to the tree in front of you, pressing your hand against the bark, which is, for the most part, smooth to the touch. Despite its age, it doesn't brittle and break off in your hand as some of the elder bark does. As you touch it, your vision starts to grow dark from the outside, working its way in until it's just a single pinprick of light off in the distance. The sounds of the crickets and nature nearby are replaced by the hollow, very familiar tones of a cave. You can hear some water dripping in a pool nearby, coming down from the ceiling. It's not exactly like the cave within the deep umbra. Instead, it is much more natural. What you'd expect from a cave, whereas the other one had a very ethereal energy to it. You feel comfortable and at home here, as if you've been here for quite some time. You look down and you find yourself to be a very pale-skinned young woman, but still very much Guru. While others take a lot of comfort in leaving the cave to go run free amidst the mountains, you prefer the cool dark of the cave itself. This is where she is. This is where she's most prevalent. As you look around, your eyes adjusting to the darkness, you can see that the walls are covered in murals of a bat drawn from chalk and some loose white stone that leaves a nice residue behind. You follow your eyes over to a carved altar off to one side. It's hewn from the same white stone that you were able to unearth from deep within, and you've spent a great deal of time perfecting the statue. The statue of your patron, the white bat. The Caern patron. Sept patron. Almost like a mother to this particular pack of Guru, she has tended to you and cared for you. When Turtle couldn't be around, you could always count on White Bat, for she would never leave. She also liked the dark. Maybe it's something you had in common. As you brush off the white residue of the carved stone, the shaved down edges of the statue in front of you, you hear a sudden flurry of wings as several of the cave's residents, bats, true bats, take flight heading towards that pinprick of light in the distance that you know to be the exit to the cave. Everything grows silent and still. which is a little unnerving because even though you prefer the darkness of the cave, you can always count on the sounds of critters moving along the ceiling. But for a moment, there are none. And then you hear the cry. As the bat lets out its shriek, the ground starts to shake, the walls start to crumble, big chunks of rock start to fall. What felt like a very homey environment suddenly feels empty as the statue falls and shatters to pieces on the hard rock floor. The shaking and rumbling all around causes large rocks to fall to the point that it blocks out the light beyond. Even that pinprick of light that is the exit way submerges into darkness. And while you could make out the details of the cave before, it becomes harder and harder to see as clouds are kicked up. Suddenly, you feel yourself starting to pant and gasp as if the air is being sucked out of the cavern. You start to crawl and move towards the entryway when a rock falls right on top of you. And the vision ends, snapping you back to reality.
I see why it cut short.
I believe she was a Galliard like you. A storyteller, an artist. What I've come to learn is that the white bat was their patron, that particular set. Based off of the timing of things, I believe that when the last Camazotz died, the white bat fled, and the cavern collapsed. That shriek, that call, was the white bat. Perhaps in anger, perhaps in pain. Because while the spirits may aid us and guide us and be our patrons, they have interests elsewhere, connections elsewhere.
Okay. Their own motivations.
Yes. But also like family. The Camazotz were relative to the white bat. I believe what our dear Xander is hearing is that last call. That final shriek of the white bat. And based off of what I've been able to research and uncover, that appears to be somewhere in Virginia, in the mountains.
Okay. I mean, is it going to stop if he goes there? I mean, if you're
As I
saying,
know, he's from there.
I guess that makes sense. Like, how long ago was this? Was it before or after the sacrifice
It was shortly after. Although I can't say for certain as to the date. I only saw what you saw, the darkness.
So how do we stop him from hearing it if it's
Well, perhaps we need to reconnect him with the white bat. Show her that not all is lost. Nurse her back to health. Because undoubtedly this would take a toll upon her.
I guess if Bat heard it, this white bat, she heard it too, or realized it when he changed as well.
Maybe. But we don't know how far she's gone or how cut off she is. I think perhaps she didn't flee that place, but instead sealed herself in.
So we got to figure out where in Virginia mountains the old Cairn was then,
Yes.
and track down hundreds, if not thousands, of caves.
Well, we know there was a cave in. That's a good place to start. It's unlikely that there's an opening. We just have to find where the opening was. Find where the collapse was. And while it may seem like what I'm asking or saying we should do is get some shovels and start digging, there are other ways. We just have to get inside.
Well, to get inside, we'd have to find it first.
I think the closer you get, the easier it'll be to find. You know what you're looking for.
Do you think she'll get louder if we're closer?
Perhaps. Xander seems more attuned to her than anyone else. He is, as far as I know, the only Camazotz in existence.
Think there'd be an opening through the Umbra, or would we have to just...
I don't know, to be honest. It's possible. It's also possible we may have to negotiate our way through with the spirits of stone and rock.
Okay. I guess it's a start. It's a direction.
The only one we have right now. I can keep away, or at least dull, the call of Bat. But that is a band-aid, not a cure.
Okay.
There's no way of breaking the hold that Bat has on Xander. That is like trying to separate a person from their gene pool. It's like trying to separate you from Gorgon. Maybe even more direct than that. That was his maker. Was the maker of the Camazotz. They will always be connected. But if the white bat still has some purity, is still untainted by the worm itself, perhaps she can provide the answer, a means to combat the spirit of bat.
Look up at the sky. Star wouldn't put me on this if it was an impossible task, right?
I'd like to hope not. But you have to understand, spirits, they don't know everything. They're like us in that way. There are still things mysterious to them. And Star, she's one of the more hopeful spirits that I've met before. One of the more positive thinking. So I hope there is a solution. For all our sake.
Okay.
The other question is, are we in a place to find it? With everything going on.
I don't know. I guess depends on if we have to weigh the risk he poses versus everything else we have going on. I don't even know if he poses a risk. I might be worrying for not a whole lot. Maybe we're able to keep him calm and keep the influence low.
He most certainly poses a risk. Some days are better than others. But you have to keep in mind, he is a newly changed Camazotz, and he was able to nullify and almost destroy an experienced guru.
Yeah.
But also, we're trying to make a better world, a new way. And part of that new way is to help those in need, to bring back what was forgotten about and destroyed by our predecessors. And if he's indeed the only one, I do not have any reason to believe he'll be the last one. Gaia brought back the Camazotz.
Eliza, he keeps talking about a labyrinth. Is that real, or is that part of his, I don't know, like it seems like even his hallucinations are influenced or touched upon something or connected to something.
Eliza stares at you, looking you directly in the eyes. And while her lips don't move, her voice echoes in your mind. I dare not speak aloud of the labyrinth, for I only know stories. But all of those stories speak of the labyrinth as the place that the worm dwells. They call it the Black Labyrinth, for it is endless hallways and corridors filled with the most disturbing and deadly incarnations the worm has to offer. The labyrinth is the place that the White Howlers entered in an attempt to combat the worm to take the fight to them. And it is where they were trapped, where they were driven mad, where they gave themselves to the worm. Some say it is a place they take others in an attempt to turn them.
Okay. I knew it was probably connected to something. By the way, that's kind of creepy.
She gives a small smile, but you can still tell in her eyes that she is kind of looking off into the middle distance.
Doesn't help calm these worries any. To be honest, no. If he's dreaming about it and talking about it.
Could be that Bad is attempting to lure him there. In mind, if not in body. Break him down. Corrupt him with visions of a place where one goes to get lost, where one is lost. A dark cavern might appeal to a bat. But this one, you do not escape. Once you enter, you will not leave until they show you the way out.
So just really need to figure out where that cave-in happened.
Sure, there are ways. You look up perhaps the farmer's almanacs or the history of the region. Perhaps there are even stories told about it. An event like that doesn't come lightly and isn't easily forgotten, especially in an area with no earthquakes.
Yeah. I guess I can start with that.
Be mindful of how you speak around Xander and what you say. Of course, show him all due courtesy and care for him, but until we can be certain that he is not just simply a receptor for something else, it'd be best to avoid giving away certain secrets. Just be mindful.
I'll be careful.
And if you need a way to communicate without being spoken aloud, perhaps I can teach you my little trick.
That could be useful.
And indeed. I still speak to some of my cousins across the continents with the use of this gift.
How are they doing?
Well, those that respond are striving to find balance, distancing themselves further and further, while others are still going about the fight in their own way as well. They enjoy what we're doing here, but not enough to go out of their way to find it.
I mean, let's be honest, this place is crazy and dangerous.
Yes. But isn't that what we needed most?
Yeah. But no sane person would really want to come here.
Perhaps not. But and which of us is truly sane after all we've seen and experienced?
You saying Garu as a whole or just like us here? Bit of
Well,
both?
you have to be crazy to throw yourselves against the forces of the unknown in what you're told is a losing battle.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more of us don't fall to Hirano immediately after we hear everything.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we only give it in bits and pieces.
A slow rollout is best. It is very overwhelming in the grand scheme of it all.
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm exactly where I need to be.
I didn't ask if you were where you needed to be. I asked if you were okay.
Yes, I'm helping those in need. I'm with family. I'm at peace. This is my balance. I can't think of a better way to spend what remaining days I have than here with all of you, fighting the fight.
I'm glad we're together too.
You okay?
Better than I've been, despite everything that is happening and not getting as much sleep as I would like to because of everything. But yeah.
Trust me when I tell you, if this were a fight we weren't meant to participate in, Gaia would take us away. If she didn't think this was a fight we could win, she wouldn't have opened this place to us. She is giving us the tools to succeed. And this fight, like many other fights before it, seems a lot worse than it actually is.
Okay.
Make sure to take some time to just do nothing. As urgent as everything seems, it can wait for an hour or 8 hours
I sneak in some.
2 more. You're running yourself ragged, and you don't want to be exhausted when the final battle does come.
Yes, Mom.
She smiles and reaches out and places a hand against your cheek, and it's very warm to the touch. Enjoy this time. Moments like these are few and far between. But while we're all together, those times should be cherished.
Yeah. Speaking of enjoying time, since, your patients are resting, let's go have some iced tea and dig up where you put that pipe.
Sounds like an excellent plan. She puts her arm through yours as if to let you lead as you walk back across the clearing towards the RVs. What's going through your mind after this conversation with Eliza as well as the vision?
I'm facing a nemesis research for me. Trying to figure out who I can get to help figure that out. Because Artie seems pretty strapped, but I may have to ask him for help. Possibly Charles. I know Aspen's focusing on her own research and things, so I'll figure it out. But at the same time, and kind of lingering is what she said about Gaia putting us here if she wouldn't put us here if we didn't have a chance. She wouldn't have opened this up. And I am clinging to that and pushing just that little bit of doubt in the back of my head that's like, yeah, but we're still losing. And are we sure Gaia's still sane?
Doubt is a very tricky thing because it's like a crack in a wall, crack in a dam. A small trickle begins, but if you continue to let it remain, it will grow and it will widen. And over time, it will collapse the dam, letting the flood come in. With that, we go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of tonight's story.
St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Dramatic Creations, Panchi Artista, Ember Fox Dice, Devlin the Bard, Champs Tramps, Howlin' Hop Tea. Links to our partnered vendors as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels can be found on our website, stpetebynight.com. You can follow SPbN on all socials with the hashtag StPeteByNight. If you wish to support our program, you can do so at ko-fi.com/stpetebynight to help keep the stories rolling.
And we're back. As we return in the second half, we find Aspen arriving at the cairn in the evening. Aspen, you've been keeping tabs on Stakes and Sean's recovery over the past week, and for the most part, they've been spending a lot of time resting, getting rehydrated, healing, a lot of sleeping. But eventually, it comes to a point where it seems like they have recovered as well as they're going to through sped up means. and Eliza is confident that they'll be able to get up and move about of their own power and be better about feeding themselves and taking care of themselves while their bodies do the rest of the work. Their regeneration has started to pick up and has taken over for the healing that Delphine and Eliza and even Jace has been helping them do, even with your efforts as well, using Mother's Touch. Now's the time to get some answers. Answers about what happened in Michigan, answers about what went wrong, how that much needed supply of iron isn't coming. So as you approach the cairn, putting away your phone after receiving a text message from Larry saying once again that he's fine and he will be there soon. He's just needing a little bit more time and that he's going home to visit his mom for a couple of days, but he will stay in touch. Slide your phone away, knowing that there won't be any signal to be found as you enter into the cairn proper. But as you approach, you see that the fire in the hearth is lit. And at the nearby table, Stakes can be seen sitting atop the table in her Hamid form. The light of the fire only showing what seems to be the good side of her face, while the ruined side is obscured in darkness. What's going through your mind as you go to approach to have this conversation?
How to, number one, be delicate in this process of getting this information, because Aspen desperately wants the information, and sometimes she could be tactless when there's things unknown to her. Also, making sure that conversation can happen slightly away from where Xander is, because that comment from the boy in the alley kind of still echoes in her mind, and she worries that anything he hears may go back to however that works. So just to be cautious, she wants to make sure that's not a problem. And then also just making sure that Stakes is okay, as she has been for several days now.
So where the table is where you meet, it's a pretty good distance away from the RVs, and you're pretty confident based off of where Stakes is waiting for you that this will be an acceptable place to talk, although it being evening and the bat being let on the loose, you can never be entirely certain, especially since bats are renowned for very good healing. But go ahead and roll me a wits and awareness to check out the area as you approach to see if there are any signs.
3.
Looking around, up in the trees especially, you don't see any signs of Xander. You look over to the RV and you can see that the lights are off in Xander's RV, meaning that he is likely out for the evening. So as you approach, Stakes stares at the fire a little longer, but then eventually looks over in your direction with her one good eye. And at this point, turning her head, the scarring along the other side is exposed and lit up, showing the completely scarred over skin that was once her other eye. She looks like she's going to speak, but then stops herself and waits.
Aspen will walk up to the table and sit on it as well to kind of meet her where she's at, and look over. How are you feeling today?
Okay, I guess. Better. Not as exhausting to go out into the woods, which is nice.
That's good. And I'm sure the mental part of it isn't great, right?
Doesn't quite work the same. Not exactly. It was a good death. But it seemed unnecessary. As much as they had times lost the path recently, they were good. I knew that in the end, they were good.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I know losing a pack mate is hard, but losing a whole pack, that's really, I'm sorry.
There's still Sean
That's true.
taking it a lot harder, but he was with them a lot longer. He doesn't show it, but I know he's hurting.
I want to do everything I can to right this, to have justice in some way for everyone involved. And I need your help with that.
She nods her head. Okay.
What can you tell me? Any information that seems relevant, all of it, anything you can give me that could give some insight into what happened.
We gathered near the mine at a campground not that far away from there. All of the others came together. We started planning. Something felt off, but I couldn't tell what it was, and I learned later it's because one of them was amongst us. Fortunately, it was one of ours. Rick, our galliard. He had been our eyes on the mine from the beginning. He was the advance group to scout it out. I didn't know at the time that it was him. He had a good way of covering up for it, but I also didn't spend a lot of time directly with him. I think that was on purpose. When the assault took place, I was part of the advance group to go in first, try and get into the mines themselves to secure them. Some from the other septs were part of that group too. It was easy at first, seemingly too easy. We encountered very little resistance, but the security eventually showed up and there was some fighting, some gunfire. Sean got hit and didn't get up as quickly as he should have. Getting shot by a gun still hurts, but it's not death, and I wondered if it was Silver based off of how he was responding. He was near the entrance to the mine, so I dragged him further in to try and get him out of the direct line to assess the situation, as he was one of the only ones capable of healing others. And then I saw more and more getting injured outside the cave. We couldn't heal. Nothing was working. Everything hurt. Everything remained. Wasn't enough to stop us. We still had power, we still had strength, and we still had numbers on our side. Red and Aaron were meant to cover the escape route and command from the entrance to the mines. And then we heard the howls. It wasn't like ours. It wasn't any of the signals we had set up. It was angry, vicious, numerous. And then they showed up around the edges, surrounding us entirely. They flooded the grounds from all sides. I don't know how many of them there were, but there were more than us. Where we had easily we had a few. We had 3 sets. They had many more than that. They swept in just as we thought we were finishing, but after many of us had already been hurt. I went back into the mines to see if I could find another route. Take Sean. And then some of the explosives went off. The mine caved in. Got hurt in the blast. She reaches up and touches the scarred skin around her eye. Then reaches down and touches her ribs, where you can see that there is some tape underneath her shirt. I was thrown against the wall and everything went dark. When I finally woke up, I could smell blood, fire. I could hear shouting of voices that weren't ours. I dug through the rubble to find Sean, and I did. He was stuck. Some of the machinery had fallen on him. And his arm had gotten caught. We didn't have time, so I had to pull him out. I released him by removing his arm, thinking that we'd be able to heal it back, but we still couldn't heal. We were bleeding so much. We had to stop it so that we could move, so that we could get out. There was a lot of bleeding. Sean couldn't heal. I don't know what would have happened. It wasn't like anything we'd encountered before. knew fire would stop the bleeding. So we burned each other. Then we had to hide. They were entering into the mines, looking for survivors. Don't know how long it had been, and Sean was worse off than I. He was barely staying conscious. Felt like days that we were in the mines. Couldn't get out. Eventually, we were able to move a little bit at a time. Just had this sick feeling in the stomach. When we moved, got outside the mine, there were so many dead. They had built a fire near one of the furnaces. They were throwing in the bodies. There was this woman. I assume she was the leader, shouting out commands and telling them to look. Did my best to disguise our smell, to hide us. There were so many of them. It took so long to move, and Sean was not moving easily. I wasn't going to leave him behind. As far as I knew, he was the only one left alive. Finally got out. Guessing it was at least a week. We had to move south, get back to the cairn. Took just about another week, moving at night, very slowly. Camping during the day. Finding dens in the woods. We got back to the cairn. John was well enough to open the moon bridge. Rick was still alive and he was with them. That's how I found out he was a traitor. He wasn't a prisoner. We didn't get the iron. We failed.
Understand. That we don't have to worry about that right now. What did the woman look like?
Very big. Larger than most human women. She didn't change, so I don't know if she was one of us, but she must have been, the way the others responded to her. She had dark black hair and very little clothing. carried a long whip, while others had guns and some were in their war forms still. She just had a whip.
Did you hear anything about why they were there? Who sent them? Anything?
The woman said, "This is just the beginning. We take what's ours." Don't know what it means. That's... You could hear her all the way across the mine. It sounded like a war march.
Did they take anything else? Or was it just an attack?
Don't know. Didn't see them with anything. There were bodies and they were destroying them. Not even a proper... Seemed like all they wanted was to kill. Destroy. How they knew we were going to be there, why they hit us, I can only assume it's because there were so many of us in one place. The three biggest sets, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio, that's a big hit.
Did Rick say anything or do anything in the time leading up to that would have, I don't know, given anything?
Rick was always quiet. We expected it from him. He was soft-spoken, and he told us the details of the mine. He forgave the pups for what happened, but told them that he couldn't trust them to come with us. I thought at first he was just trying to look out for us, but I think maybe he thought they were suspicious or could catch on. But he wanted me to go. Still don't know why. When we were leaving, I saw them digging up these stones, these rocks. Apparently they had been buried in the ground. Don't know what they were for. I don't know why they were so important.
What did they look like?
Hard to see. We were moving at night, but they were, some of them, about the size of my hand. Just looked like rocks. I didn't get close enough to see.
And you're sure everyone else is gone?
There were a lot of bodies. We got out, I didn't smell any others. find any other trails. We waited to see if there was any others hiding. There weren't. I don't know if they took any. But from the looks of it, they were there just to kill. If there were others, they would have headed back to their own cairns or hid out somewhere, but nobody came through. Nobody from Ohio, nobody from Wisconsin. Nobody tried to make contact. Sean tried to reach out to them and there was nothing. Not by phone, but in his way. Couldn't find any of them.
And you didn't hear anything of them staying or leaving or anything of where they might be heading?
No. Just that this is the beginning. If I had to guess, Sept of Jupiter is probably next. Unless they head east, but I don't know.
Okay. We need to make sure they didn't follow or anything to your sept or had any inkling of coming here or but I'll take care of all of that.
Still useful.
Trust me. You'll always be useful. And I'm happy you're here.
Sorry we failed, but I'm glad pups weren't there.
And I'm glad you're back. Be there for them.
Their head.
We're gonna figure out what happened. We're gonna stop whatever's going on. I don't know if there's anything connected to Piney Point or anything of that nature. I mean, it's hard not to assume, but it's also very little information.
There weren't any of the walking dead with them. This seemed like an opportunity, not an attempt to stop us. It was an attempt to end us. I don't know if they even care about what's going on down here or not, but this was about killing. Lots of killing.
That doesn't seem like Piney Point's MO. I think they're happy to not be involved as long as they're doing what they want to do.
Think maybe they saw a chance, got some information, maybe from Tiny Point, definitely from Rick.
3 steps in one place with no escape. If they were planning on killing, that's a perfect way to do it. We have other means of getting the iron. We'll figure it out. I'm sorry?
Leeches.
Yeah. It's not ideal by any means, but it's still something we have.
You have to do what works.
What would you like to do next, Stakes?
What do you need me to do?
Well, first and foremost, the pups are going to need you. I'm sure this is going to throw them into an emotional turmoil in ways that I can't predict. You know them best.
They won't go. I won't let them.
They won't make it if it's that bad.
I need to keep them safe.
And I'll help in whatever way I can with that.
You should talk to Sean. He might have more details. I don't usually get involved with that kind of stuff. He was in a very bad way, physically. So I don't know how much he remembers, but maybe he saw something that I didn't see or heard something I didn't hear. I was just trying to get us out.
I'll talk to him.
When are we going to hit Piney Point?
I'm working on some things. I'm working on it from a legal standpoint and potentially getting people out there to disrupt what they're doing. But I've got to get the plants under control. And I think it's coming to a head, and the next is to deal with the plant wolf monster.
It's like they're mocking us.
It's exactly what's happening.
I can still fight. I can still help.
Do you believe that you're at full capacity?
She reaches up and touches the skin around where her eye was. I'm as good as I ever was.
I know you're not one for words, but I know you've never lied to me, so I believe you.
There are things that I'm going to have to get used to. but I won't stop. Has to have meant something.
Absolutely, it does, and we'll find everything we can, and we'll make sure you're out there helping too. In fact, I think we're looking into some businesses and what's going on there. Maybe I could have you out there at night, stalking, seeing what you could find.
Yeah. Don't want revenge. We all got into this fight knowing how it ends. Just want us to keep each other safe and win.
I want you to know I don't pity you, Stakes. I think what you did was amazing, and I think that, if it were me, I'd wear it as a badge of honor. Not to mention it makes you look really badass.
You see her kind of huff out as if she's chuckling, but not quite full there. You will win. And
Going to.
I'm not embarrassed. This happened. There was no way we were going to beat them. I promised I would get Sean out. And I did.
I think you did exactly what you needed to do. And more than a lot of people would have in that situation. And I can't imagine what you went through, but it won't go unnoticed. I think these are, well, I'm going to talk to Jester about it because she's the one with all the stories, but she'll make sure that everybody knows what you did that day.
She just nods her head. Watch out for Raymond. He's taking it very hard. He cared about Red a lot, even if Red was wrong sometimes. And they didn't leave on the best of terms.
I'll talk to him. I kind of admittedly have a soft spot for that kid, so I'll talk to him.
He's trying his best.
He's doing a good job, all things considered. But I think right now, what all of us need is a win. And so I think we all just put our heads to the grindstone and get it done, because there's been a lot of losing. Is that the right term? That probably doesn't make sense to you either anyways, so it doesn't matter. But we just push forward and we get it done and we start getting some wins.
Let us know what we can do. I know we've made some mistakes, but they want this. They want to do good. I know it. And I'll get it right eventually.
I have some ideas. I know you've been out of commission, but apparently they're going to be working with Charles to get the plant leech zombie taken care of. So they're getting ready, and I think they're doing a good job of getting prepared. And I have a job for Juniper if she'll take it.
She'll take it. We'll get it done. And if you need me or anything else, I'll do that too.
And you have to get better because we have hunting to do.
I'm better.
Well,
I need to be outside.
then no time like the present. Yeah.
She nods and she pushes herself off the table, and it's a little rickety, a little more rickety than usual, not as smooth or fluid, but she doesn't wince. She doesn't show any signs of it, bothering her as she slides off and drops down to the ground and slower than usual transitions into her lupus form. The damage is still very apparent on her face. One of those things that isn't going to ever go away. Reminder, but as you said, a badge of honor. And she wears it proudly, despite everything that was lost. While the mission may have been a success to negotiate the trade of iron, there was still a great loss and a great failure in not being able to secure it. But where there's a will, there's a way. And where there's a way to win. As you drop down off the table and also transition into your lupus form, what's going through your mind after this conversation with Stakes?
There is a bit of guilt that's been creeping in. And after talking to Jace and after talking to Stakes, that guilt keeps rising. But there's a lot of jobs to be done and a lot of things to do. And she's hoping that if they can just keep pushing forward and get a win and figure this stuff out, then it'll all mean something. And hopefully it will help them through their grief and a little bit selfishly help her through her guilt.
With that, we transition to our final scene of the evening. Jester and Jace, you have joined Charles to go investigate the scene of the changeling fight with the infected. You put in a call to Ravi to ask him to meet you at the scene so that he could perhaps give some extra details or shed a little bit more light on just how everything occurred. But as you make the drive out to the site, getting rudimentary directions, you find yourself moving a good distance east past I-75, a good while outside of Tampa, maybe about 30, 45 minutes near Thorne. Eventually, you pull onto some back roads that head to some further out properties. And Jace, you know that you are getting very close to where the bunker was. A little bit out of the way, but close enough to make it uncomfortable for sure. And you can see why the changelings felt the need to do something about it. Eventually, you pull off the road, stop, climbing out of the vehicle, and out of some high grass comes Ravi, his messy blonde hair and his uncomfortably fitting clothes hanging off of his frame. He raises a hand in greeting. Sarah, just in time.
Ravi, Jester, Ravi, Jester.
I've met Jester. She has come to check on us while you were ill.
Yep. It's good to see
Well,
you
then, never
again.
mind.
Good to see you. And this one? Your
And one you
lawyer,
haven't.
perhaps?
In a way, his form of law is pretty abrupt and strict. His name's Charles.
Oh, he is a judge.
In a way, an executioner.
I'll
He's
head towards.
the big warrior I told you about. That dude.
Ravi looks him up and down and then gives like a slight half bow at the waist. I meant no offense, Sarah.
I'll head towards the trunk. Well, he definitely judges.
Charles looks over at you and just rolls his eyes. Will you show us where the site is, Ravi? Yes. Gives a smile. Please follow me. He turns back to the high grasses and starts walking through, separating a path as he goes. Charles opens up the trunk and pulls out a machete and a sheath and puts it on his belt. He also grabs his gun and a couple of road flares before he nods and starts heading off towards the grasses.
I'll grab my my clave, strap it, and grab a few flares, then stare down at like the little knapsack I have with me, and then look to Ravi. Take the sack just in case.
And Jace, are you grabbing anything, or what are you bringing with you?
He'll run back to the vehicle and then scurry, trying to find his gun because he dropped it, and look around and check, make sure it's loaded, and make sure Charles doesn't see, and he stows it away, and then acts like nothing happened and walks back out.
Roll me a manipulation and deception.
Two?
As you scramble and start heading to follow Ravi and Charles, Charles says, without even turning to look at you, "This is why there's holsters, Jason."
There's also pockets, Charles.
He doesn't respond as he just continues to walk. Heading through the grass. Oh, yeah,
get
go
a
ahead.
holster. Mental note to get a holster.
As you head through the grass, you end up walking about 150, 200 yards in, and you can see that now the grass is starting to get squashed down, like crunched down, as if there's been a lot of movement and activity in the area. And then you get to what obviously is the hive, where some of the other hives have been surgically taken care of, almost in a perfect circle of burned, surroundings. Mostly Charles's work is to contain the fire, but also to keep it as minimal as possible. This is a mess. There are patches of burnt grass scattershot almost in like a cheetah pattern across the ground. And you can see that there are big husks of like bodies, bones, sitting in amidst all of the burned wreckage. Charles tends to break up the bones and scatter them, or even take them with and dispose of them elsewhere, but they clearly just burned and left. You can even see broken glass from what was probably Molotov cocktails that were thrown at the scene. But Ravi moves to the center and then holds out his arms. "Behold, the battlefield."
It's different than the other ones I've seen. But you got them all though, right?
far as we were aware, yes.
Yeah, so all in all, good job. And he'll kind of look over toward Charles. He did a good job, right?
Charles just says, adequate.
That means yes.
Ravi just keeps the same bright smile on his face as he looks at you and avoids looking towards Charles. Yes, well, we were told that they needed to be burned entirely and that there was nothing to be left behind, so we made sure of it as best as we could. There was about 8 of them, by our counts.
And there haven't been any more since.
Not that we have seen Sarah, but we tend to avoid venturing too far from the bunker.
But nothing else has come by the bunker, so that's good.
Not
though.
directly, no.
What kinds did you see?
Oh. Well, there was one that had a large growth on its chest, and it would almost open up and spit out the spores, I believe you call them. And then there was 2 of them that were extremely large, had multiple arms, looked like several bodies put together and then covered in moss. And then there were some that looked like they had not been changed for long, looked more human than others, except for the obvious death that was upon them. Their forms had rot and stank.
Okay. How long ago did this happen?
Oh, about 10 days or so at this point.
Cool. I'm gonna just walk around and look for any like signs that any of them managed to like start regrowing.
Give me a wits and investigation.
Okay. What's my rage at?
I would say a 2, as you're coming out to the fields again, and you know this is where the action happens, even though there's supposedly going to be no action here.
Ugh, I got 1 success.
You don't see any details or anything obviously showing off that there were any surviving infected here.
And Ravi, these were the ones that were by the bunker that just kind of like popped out of the ground and then started walking this way?
Yes, sir. Our night security saw them rise out of the ground and start stalking across the fields, and they came very close to the bunker. In fact, we went in and shuttered the bunker and threw off our camouflage to try and cover up, but they came very, very close, and then we allowed them to pass as best as possible. In fact, one attempted to distract them using a little bit of trickery to get them moving away in another direction. And then when they did, we immediately armed up and went to follow.
Look towards Charles and Jester. That picture I sent you, that was of that hole. That's one I'm talking about. It was shallow, and it seemed to just popped up and then started walking with the rest.
What was most curious is we had not seen anyone approach that spot before then. It leads us to believe that they had actually moved through the ground and then emerged at that location.
Glance to Charles.
Charles has his mouth set in a hard line and his brow furrowed as he kind of kicks at one of the broken, burnt, boned bodies, crunching the skull down with a foot. They haven't moved through the ground before. I knew that they could go in and come out, but I had not seen them traverse distances. This is a new development. Also makes them much more unpredictable.
Great.
Charles reaches in and pulls a knife out of his belt and moves to one of the mounds and starts digging underneath it. And as he does, the ground just gives way easily, as if it doesn't take much effort to shovel it up. I believe that they are maintaining their physical shape as they move. So if the ground is disturbed or weak, they are likely taking some of the ground into their mass as they move. We just need to look for sunken spots. That should give us a trail.
I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna move to stand near him, and I'm gonna put on the aura shades, staring at like the hole right now. I'm looking for like, is there any extra damage from what I've seen from the plants when
Definitely.
they're removed?
Yeah, it's not as deep here because it looks like they haven't been here for a very long time, whereas at some of the other hives, that seems to be where they take up residence during the day. These barely had been here for very long, maybe a single day at best, whereas the others, it probably takes some time for it to have the same level of corruption under the ground as those did.
Okay.
Gonna take a look around and see if there is more sunken areas in this spot or like leading away. See if anything got away.
Give me a wits and investigation.
Still rage 2.
Yep.
Three.
As you're walking around the edge of the circle, or at least the edge of the flattened grass, you're examining the ground very carefully, especially where you place your feet. And eventually you hit a spot that isn't burned, where your foot sinks a little bit more into the ground.
Look back. Jester, Charles. I think I found a sink spot, a sunken area.
Charles approaches and again with the knife begins to dig at the ground. And as he digs it out, eventually he unearths what looks like a mole hole or a mole tunnel, but definitely not made by a mole. It doesn't look like it's carved out and fashioned. It looks like it's rough hewn underneath the surface of the earth, just enough not to disturb the top. But it seems like it is down and heading away.
Charles, there's no burn anything in this spot either.
Charles lets out a sigh and turns his head just so slightly towards Ravi, but not completely to look at him. It's possible they missed a piece. With nothing else for it to attach to, it would move on and find the next suitable host.
10 days is a long time.
It's a very long time. Could be that it joined up with another hive, but to be safe, we should follow it.
Like now, like tonight?
Do you have plans?
No, this is my plan. he'll tiptoe, like keep pressing on the ground and pushing forward.
As you walk along, stopping every so often to make sure that the ground gives way and that you're sticking with the trail, give me a wits and survival. I will give you an additional 2 dice from the help of Charles and Jester.
Ravi following along?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I burn a will?
Yes.
2.
As you try to stay on the trail as possible, you find it harder to keep track of. You're drifting off of the trail from time to time, so it takes you a lot longer than if it were a straight line for you to go. You having to stop and refine the trail, but eventually you do keep up with the trail until you get over towards a lightly wooded area on the edge of this farm property. As you approach the woods, both of you roll me a wits and awareness. One success for Jace.
I'll spend a willpower. Two successes.
Approaching the woods where there's a lot of underbrush, this is where you lose the trail. You don't seem to pick up any sign, but Jester, suddenly there's an odor, a rotted odor that hits your nose. Something stinks. It's faint here, but you can tell further in seems to be the source of the stink.
I'll do you something's rotting. I smell it. It's further in.
I don't smell
Oh.
anything.
I'll pass Jace the knapsack I was holding. Here. Hold this. Don't let it near
Okay.
Ravi.
Understood.
I will shift to Lupus.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna attempt to track this rotting smell.
All right, give me a wits and survival.
Do I get any extra dice or just...
Yeah, I'll give you 2 extra dice for being in your lupus form.
Well, aside from that, like, from any assistance.
Yeah, you know what? I'll give you an extra die from Charles's assistance.
Okay. Four successes.
Okay, you get a pinpoint accurate smell of the stink and are able to follow the path into the woods beyond. As you get further in, Ravi actually ends up pulling out a lantern, like a camp lantern, and turning it on to shine some light in the vicinity. Eventually, you come upon the rotted, decaying husk of what looks to be just the head and front legs of a deer. The back half is completely gone. And it looks like it was violently removed. The deer has rotted for quite some time. You can see that the bugs have eaten away at it, as well as some carrion, but there is still some flesh and skin and fur attached to it.
I'll circle around it, waiting for Charles and Jace to catch up.
Charles comes up beside the deer and kneels down and reaches in and fishes out some rubber gloves and starts to examine the ripped off end of the deer, pulling apart some of the skin and flesh, peeling it away from the bone. Well, I see it found its host, but it only needed the mass, not the entirety. Due to the violent nature of how it was removed, the front half didn't survive. It doesn't look like the infection is spreading in it.
So you're saying there's just the ass end of a deer?
In a manner of speaking, yes.
Okay.
What's peculiar about this is we haven't seen them attack animals regularly. They tend to stick to more intelligent beings. This was an act of desperation to find something, which tells me that there aren't many infected immediately nearby.
Should probably still go get this thing though, right?
Well, it's got quite a head start. But we can attempt to. I say we should still follow the trail, and if we find ourselves headed towards another hive, especially an active one, that would be good to know. But this one does seem to be on its own.
We're already out here. Sure.
He reaches into his bandolier and pulls out one of the road flares, igniting it before holding it to the deer and burning what's left of the carcass as best as possible. Ravi just looks on with like startled kind of apprehension and holds a handkerchief over his mouth and nose.
You okay, buddy?
I have seen a great deal of things. I have never seen a man in a suit burn half a deer that was already rotted. It smells very bad.
It does. It's a precautionary thing, just in case something else is sitting in there.
Leave
But
no
yeah,
pieces.
yeah. But you're right. This is a peculiar thing to witness.
I had believed we had been quite thorough, and now I am thinking that we might have not been, and that is unfortunate.
It's all right. We're here now. We got it.
He gives a small smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes as he nods. After Charles has finished burning the husk of the deer, he puts away the leftovers of the road flare to be thrown out later and stands up. You still have the scent, Jester.
I still have the scent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give a quick bark.
As you continue to follow the scent, you see that it remains above ground for a while. That rotted, kind of decaying, although it's not as rotted, it smells like faint blood, like old blood. You follow behind and you see that some of the ground has spots of blood, even rubbing up against a tree at one point. As you continue to follow, you find that the scent disappears, going down into the ground.
Okay.
It doesn't reemerge.
I will stop at the point that it disappears and start pawing at the ground looking for a hollow part in the dirt.
As you do, it sinks in pretty dramatically at that point, and you find yourself starting to dig down and down into the earth. At this point, Everyone roll me a wits and awareness.
Three.
2.
Both of you are able to move back away as the earth gives in, and out of the earth emerges a weird kind of cross section between a person and a deer. Like the top half of a person has fused to a deer, and the growths have consumed and kind of connected the two. The person has very little flesh. They have a humanoid form, but very little flesh. A lot of it is just growth made out of dirt and kind of fungal connections holding it all together. But as it emerges from the ground, it is going to open its mouth and spew as a bunch of yellow fluid just goes flying out in both of your direction. Go ahead and roll me a dexterity and athletics.
2.
Okay.
Three.
Jester, you are able to clear the liquid easily enough. Despite being the closest one in your lupus form, you were able to dodge out of the way and spring off with all 4 legs, launching yourself away. Jace, you do manage to avoid skin contact with the fluid, but it does hit some of your clothing and cling to it.
Take off the jacket.
At this point, Charles pulls out another road flare and tosses it to you before igniting one of his own.
Catch it and then fumble and grab his pistol out.
Go ahead and declare your intentions.
Where's Ravi right now?
Ravi he's stayed behind at the back of all of you and is holding up the lantern, but in a shaky hand as he illuminates it. What is that?
I don't know. Stay where you're at. Gonna kind of maneuver, stay in line, but in front of Ravi, and then attempt to take a shot at the weird deer creature.
Okay. And Jester, what are you gonna do?
I'm going to shift to Krynos.
Okay. Give me the 2 rage checks.
Right, and I'm going to kind of like bark at Jace to drop the bag that I had him hold. And once I've shifted, I'm going to scoop that up and pull out one of the balls I have in there.
Okay.
But
Drop it.
So in your hulking war form, let's see if it actually succeeds.
I got 1 success, 1 failure, so I still have.
So you're down to 1 rage, but you are in your large war form, growing several feet taller, filling with thick muscle and heavy fur covering your entire form. You move over to scoop up the bag and messily reaching inside with your large wolf hand, large war form hand trying to grab one of the balls. You have enough to attack if you'd like to.
Yes, I'd like to smash this into the creature.
Okay, so give me a strength and brawl. Give me a dexterity in firearms or a resolve in firearms if you're trying, or a composure in firearms if you're gonna aim.
I did a dex and firearms and got 3.
Okay.
I got 3 successes.
Okay. So as you grab one of the balls into your hand, you move up to smash it into the creature. Jace lets off a shot, which wings it, hitting one of its arms and sends off a big chunk of this dirt and fungal form, breaking off almost in a perfect circular shape off of its arm. It buckles and tries to move, but as it tries to move, the ball smashes against it, sending a powder breaking off across its form in a very centralized area. Where it hits, it starts to sizzle, but minorly, as if a scattering of sparks are coming off of its form, burning away, and you can see some smoke starting to rise from it, but in a very localized area, even though there's more powder kind of all over that side of its body. It is going to go ahead and take a swipe at Jester. Jester, roll me a dexterity and athletics.
Three successes again.
3 successes again. Okay, as it goes to swipe at you, you do manage to block and parry the hand off by just swiping it away with your own large, massive arm. Declare your next intentions.
Seeing this powder on there, and take a couple steps back, and then I'll do a shift to Glabro. Would that because it'd be a physical test, would that add 2 dice to the pool?
It would add 2 dice to your physical. Yeah, your physical pool.
Okay. We'll shift to Glabro and back up.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and make the rage check.
I failed.
Okay, so you go down to 1 rage, but you do still manage to make the transition. Your clothes growing more tight as you gain more muscle and grow wider and a little bit taller. You can still take an action, but it would be at a -2 dice penalty because of the transition if you wanted to.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I'll take another shot at it while transitioning.
So it would still be your normal pool as if you hadn't changed, but you are changing in the process. Okay, 2 successes. This one nicks it, but doesn't seem to have as much effect as the last one did. Jester, what are your intentions?
Once I see like the little effect that particular device to get the iron powder on it had, gonna sigh, set it down, or just like drop the sack for now, and I'm going into claw.
Okay. Give me a strength and brawl. At this point, Charles is trying to maneuver behind it with the flare going, as if he's gonna move in and start burning.
Okay. Good lord. So many blanks.
That's not great.
They're not all blank. It's just like, you know.
So many.
So many enough that I'm going to spend a willpower. Oh, there we go. That's much better. 8 successes with a crit.
Okay. Moving in, having discarded your bag to the side, you go to rake a claw across it, and you find that you cleave one of its arms completely off with an easy swipe. It seems like it wasn't as firmly attached as the others have with bone. As your claws cut through, you find that there is no bone, no resistance. This was just growth off of the main form. The arm collapses to the ground and kind of shatters in pieces. The dirt just spreading out in all directions, but some of the fungal matter is still coursing there, trying to move its way back towards the frame. Next round.
The lantern Ravi has, is it battery or is it
Battery
oil-based? Okay. Standing there still in front of him, now in Glabro going to take another shot, making sure that nothing's coming towards him.
Okay. And give me that Dex and Firearms again. And you do get the 2 bonus dice.
I'm gonna burn a will.
And Jester, what are you doing?
I'm going to attack again.
Okay. What'd you get?
4 successes.
Nice.
I got 4 successes as well.
Okay. Jester, you take another swipe, kind of sending claw marks raking across the form, breaking off again a lot of dirt from the main body as it cleaves across. However, following that, the gun goes off, shatters against the center of the creature, and you see the 2 halves break apart. The deer legs falling down next to it, still moving and kicking, but the torso part drops also to the side. At this point, Charles springs forward onto the deer half and starts burying the flare into the legs of it, which start to cook and burn almost immediately. Easily enough, he dispatches of the lower half, giving you time to ignite the flare you have, Jace, and start burning the top half as well. Give me a wits and investigation, both of you, to make sure that you burn all of the pieces.
It's 4 with a crit.
Yeah.
I got 1 success.
So the part that was the arm with the bit of fungal matter that is still squirming, Jace, you make sure to clock and keep eyes on to make sure you move over and burn it before it has any opportunity to go into the ground. As you are finishing off burning the pieces, the smell of burnt detritus and dirt turning into just hunks of char, as well as the burnt fungal odor, fills the air. From what you can tell, it only had that 1 spore shot in it. That's all it had left. So even as it's burning, it doesn't erupt or explode. It just breaks down into pieces until you have destroyed all of the remaining bits of the fungal creature. This one, in comparison, was significantly weaker than previous ones you fought, but you were guessing it's because it hadn't really formed enough matter yet.
Yeah, while we're searching and burning, I will have shifted back to Hamid to help search better and making sure like my fingers are cleaned off of the zombie bits.
Yeah, you got some dirt underneath your fingernails, but it doesn't look like you caught any of the fungal matter on them. After Charles,
burning,
go ahead.
After burning those sections, gonna go over to his jacket and try and get that bile off of there the best he can.
How are you going to clean it off? Like with a wet wipe, or
turn it over into like the grass or dirt and try and like just smear it into it, just kind of smother it?
Okay, as you spread it across the grass, there is like a yellow residue that streaks across the side. You're probably going to need to use some actual like cleaning agents to get it off, as there is still a big yellow smear spot on the back, but it looks like the globs that were still clinging on have been broken off or swiped off.
Are you partial to that particular jacket?
Jacket and I have been through a lot. Like this fight, the one with the big wolf, and then the one that we're all at. I'm gonna consider it a lucky jacket. I also had it that day that I jumped in front of those spores with you, and I'm not dead.
And you got sick?
So, okay, I didn't die though.
It was never gonna kill you. It was supposed to make you sick. Well, the plant wasn't gonna raise up and murder you.
If anything, I'm still here, and I might not be like superstitious, might be a little stitious, but I'm keeping the jacket.
Okay.
Charles remains hunched over some of the dirt and fungal form of it, and he is holding a hand to his chin, contemplating the scene before he stands up and looks at both of you. This is the first time they've also taken non-organic matter into their shape.
Well, like you said, it was a desperation thing, right? Like,
yes, but it would usually find other organic matter to cling to, roots and other fungi, not just dirt. The dirt isn't organic enough to hold its shape. It's brittle, it's broken. It's using its own fungus to build a form out of the dirt. But it's weaker. It's not as useful. This may be a different kind, a burrower of sorts, but it sacrifices mass for the ability to traverse through the ground.
So they're gonna be weaker, but able to. Ooh.
Ambush.
Ew.
a good scout too. We'll be able to
Yes.
detect it, be able to see what's going on, and then immediately back into the ground.
Either of you ever see the movie Tremors?
Yeah. Oh,
Ew.
yeah. That's not good.
There wasn't a book made of it, then no.
Oh my
Well-
god.
It's on the list.
It's Kevin Bacon, man.
And
I'm gonna pick up the knapsack again and pull out another one of the balls and just walk over where Jace has smeared the yellow stuff on and just take a little bit of the iron and just sprinkle it where he smeared the yellow.
as the kind of shaved off iron pieces are dropped upon it, you can see it start to sizzle and burn away the yellow fluid as it touches, but it is, again, slow and spotty at best. I think Footloose was farcical, as that could never happen. What city would ban dancing?
I feel like that'd be a city you would go to.
Would keep things quieter and more orderly?
This guy.
He wouldn't go. I'm still staring
And-
at the ground, only half paying attention.
He'll look down. Isn't the iron supposed to, take care of this overall? Isn't that like our our golden ticket to this thing?
It's not right yet. I need something that causes it to puff out and explode. Not explode, but puff out in a larger cloud.
I believe it'll eventually burn away, all of it, but it's slow, which is part of the problem. We need something quick acting and can cover a wide space. This seems to burn the areas it makes contact with, and only those areas. We need a more suitable covering. Or something that allows it to spread.
Look over to Ravi. We'll have to keep you guys informed on when we figure this out, so you're not in the area.
Please do. We were disturbed by what we saw the first time, but this is equally, if not more so, disturbing. I have seen satyrs and centaurs before, but not like this.
The perimeter of your bunker with what these guys are doing, if Charles's theory is correct, keep a close eye what we were doing with the ground, testing it. Have some of your people do that, and if there's an issue, give us a call.
I believe we can also set up stakes in a perimeter around, driven into the ground to obscure their ability to approach, and if they do, they will knock over the stakes, although animals could do that as well, I suppose. But it's something. Mole traps, perhaps.
I like the idea, just need to go a bit bigger.
Perhaps you can help us figure something out.
Once I do, I'll send a truck, and we'll get people to get that all figured out for you.
Excellent.
Are you
As you
okay?
Other than a little disgusted, yes, I'm fine.
Okay. So make sure none of the iron ended up towards you or anything like that.
Oh, no. I managed to stay out of the plumes of smoke that came from it.
Good. Stand up. Slip the strap of the knapsack over my shoulder and then look to Ravi. You know, aside from all this, and now that I think the danger is past, look to Charles. Yep, we're good.
Charles nods.
I'd love to hear the story of your battle
Oh,
over some drinks.
sure. We mostly have bottled water and, well, more bottled water.
Do you guys drink alcohol, or
Oh, certainly.
we'll stop and get some alcohol?
Very well. As all of you collect your belongings, Charles actually gets a chunk of the burnt dirt and fungal matter and puts it into a baggie, zipping it off and taking it with him. You return to the vehicle and get in and begin to drive off. Ravi actually hops in the car with you, asking if you would drop him off at the bunker. But as you drive away, this is where our story comes to a close, but not without one last scene. We are still in the farmland where you all were gathered. We see the taillights of your vehicle pulling away down the road. And then a form enters into the roadway. A wolf, at wolf size, known to be one of 7 that makes up the massive vine monstrosity, with glowing green eyes, watches the car pull away. It then pulls back into the woods, and as the car is a certain distance away, it gives off a howl. And off in the distance, we hear echoing howls as it is spread on to the other forms. And they all start to move together. This is where our story comes to a close. Thank you so much to these amazing players. Thank you to everybody watching at home. Go follow St. Pete by Night on all of that social media you see listed down below and enter into that giveaway that is linked also in the description and was linked in the chat, because we only have about 10 days left as of this recording to enter into that giveaway. So get in there, get those things checked off, get as many entries as you can, and you can win that awesome giveaway. We have Hellhounds again this Friday, and we'll be back with another episode of Rage Across Tampa next Tuesday, and we'll see you all then. Have a lovely evening, everyone.
So how
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production. Rage Across Tampa is produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. The storyteller for Rage Across Tampa is Kent. Tonight's characters were voiced by Preston, Champ, Noree, and Weiss. Visit our website at stpetbynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening. Until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.